What's up, guys? In this video, I'll be talking about a sexy-ass upcoming MMO called ArcheAge. Making this video to inform the MMO community about the features ArcheAge offers. ArcheAge has been released in Korea and China and is working its way over to the West hopefully by the end of 2013. If not, it'll be early 2014. ArcheAge has everything I could ever ask for in an MMO. From open world PvP, combat pets, vehicles, player housing, guild housing, naval combat, castle sieges, and territory control, even a prison system. I am very big on guild features, guild capture and guild sieges, and just overall guild togetherness. ArcheAge really supports that playstyle, and I'm excited to get my guild going in ArcheAge. My guild, the Thul, will be playing ArcheAge. We are accepting anyone that plans to play. We strive to be the best of the best, and are looking for players who share the same mindset. If you are interested in joining, please visit our website at oranthul.com and apply. Okay, enough about my guild. Let's talk ArcheAge. Start off, let's talk about the races in ArcheAge. Each race has two racial passives. The first race we have is the Naval. This is your basic human-style race with the following racial passives. 1. If you enter a post-resurrection state, meaning you were recently revived, you receive the blessing of the goddess Nui. The length of the goddess Nui's comfort effect is increased by 100%. I'm not sure just what the blessing does. All I know is that it has a double duration for Nuans. Second racial. The time required to build houses and castle-related construction is reduced by 30%. The second race we have is the Hariharan. The Hariharan is also a human-style race, but with more of an Asian-style background. The racial passives for the Hariharan are as follows. 1. The cooldown time of your recall ability is reduced by 30%. 2. Tree felling and herb gathering time is reduced by 10%. The third race we have are elves. I doubt I have to say anything about what elves look like. The racial abilities are as follows. 1. They have an underwater breathing time increase by 20 seconds. 2. The swim speed is increased by 5%. The fourth race is called the Fairy. The Fairy are cat-like people with tails, fur, claws, the works. The following are their racial passives. 1. Damage from falling is reduced by 20%, and 2. They can climb trees and ladders 30% faster. There are 4 additional races that are planned for ArcheAge. Fairies, the Returned, Dwarves, and the Warborn. The Fairies and the Returned have not been revealed as far as concept art and models go, and there has not been a final word on whether or not they will ever even make it into the game. I have a picture of the Dwarf and the Warborn concept art. By the time the full release rolls out for the Western community, we should have at least 6 races playable. In addition to the 8 races, there is a rumored 2 additional races that are unannounced. Don't quote me on that though, that information is not confirmed. Unlike most MMOs, there is no traditional class system in ArcheAge. There is a total of 10 skill trees, of which you can choose 3. A class name is given to your character depending on which 3 skill trees you choose. This system allows for 120 different classes. That's a whole lot of customization, and I personally think this is exactly what the MMO genre needs. Players need something to differentiate themselves from the masses, and not just with aesthetics. I personally can't wait to see just how many different combinations we have in a 50-man siege group. Let's go through the 10 skill trees. Keep in mind the names of these skill trees may change for the Western release. Our first tree is called Calling. Calling is your typical roguelike assassination tree. This tree focuses on high single target damage with a ton of crits. The main abilities of this tree revolve around stealth, backstab, and leap abilities. Our second tree is called Wild. Wild is your archer tree. Just like most archer classes, this tree provides you with traps, AoEs, and single target skills. Now there's one skill that I find quite interesting. I don't know if there are any old Diablo 2 players out there, but the Wild tree gives you Bone Cage. You can log an enemy in a circle of bone that can be targeted and destroyed. Our third tree is called Artistry. Artistry is a support tree that debuffs enemies, buffs allies, and provides some minor healing. This tree allows you to play songs that constantly play until you use another skill. One song provides a movement speed buff for all allies, one provides health and mana restoration, one increases ally damage, one increases ally defense, and another puts enemies to sleep. The Artistry tree allows for some combo abilities. You can cast an ability that adds the Charmed effect to the enemy. If the Charm effect is on an enemy, some offensive abilities gain additional effects, such as your damage ability. In addition to doing damage, it will cause the enemy to run in fear. Our fourth tree is called Combat. Combat is your heavy, two-handed weapon tree. The Combat tree provides you with a charge, a pull, a taunt, a backstab, a root immunity skill, some AoEs, and a knockdown. This tree is definitely going to be one of my 3 trees. Our fifth tree is called Fortification. Fortification is a tank tree that provides you with a stun, an HP buff, a self-heal, a knockdown, a slow, an AoE taunt, and an immunity skill. The Fortification tree also gives you an ability that creates a barrier around you and your allies for 20 seconds that blocks any movement or attacks going in or out of the barrier. It seems like this ability would allow you to rest and heal your team up while you are safe from the enemy attacks. Or it could be used to lock a couple of enemies in, ensuring their death. A very useful tree in my opinion. Our sixth tree is called Will. Will is a magical damage, self-buffing perseverance tree. Will allows you to teleport, break movement impairing effects, a max HP buff, an MP recovery skill, single target and magical AoE damage skills, spell immunity skill, and a buff stealing skill. Our seventh tree is called Devotion. Devotion is our healer tree. The Devotion tree provides you with single target heals, AoE heals, HOTS, AoE damage skill that also paralyzes enemies, an AoE blind skill, an AoE damage buff skill, and last but certainly not least, a channeled AoE invisibility skill. This can turn all allies within a certain range completely invisible as long as the caster does not move. Our eighth tree is Magic. Magic is our basic fire, lightning, and ice tree. The Magic tree provides you with skills that burns enemies, freezes enemies, and slows enemies, self-shield ability, stealth sight, AoE meteor rain, AoE root spell, AoE anti-gravity spell that pulls enemies into the air, chain lightning, firewall, and a lightning storm. Our ninth tree is called Conjury. Conjury is our magic damage over time class and status ailments. Conjury provides you with skills that root enemies, dots enemies, fears enemies, cleanses harmful effects from self and allies, sleeps enemies, and a feign death while recovering mana and health quicker, sleep and fear immunity, and an AoE pushback. Our 10th and final tree is called Death. Death has a lot of damage over time skills and life drain skills. Death provides you with skills that do damage over time, leech life from enemies, an immobilization skill, movement and attack speed slow, AoE silence, and summon a ghost pet that casts AoE damage over time skills for a few seconds. Lastly, Death provides a telekinesis ability that allows you to have full control over an enemy target for 12 seconds. We covered races and skill trees. Let's move on to naval combat and sieges. In ArcheAge, you can build your own ship that can be fitted with cannons. You can freely roam the seas, attacking player-owned ships. Player-owned ships are not the only threat on the seas, though. Kraken-like sea monsters could attack your ship at any moment, so be ready for a fight. While we're on the topic of sea life, we should discuss diving. You can outfit your character with diving equipment, allowing you to go deep underwater in search for monsters and treasures. If you happen to come across a castle built on the water's edge, you can use your ships to siege the castle. Castles are built by players and can be custom built to suit your style, but more importantly built with defense in mind, because castles can be sieged by enemy guilds and players. Sieges are currently set at 50 vs 50. During sieges you can utilize catapults, tanks, and towers. Tanks can do long-range damage, catapults can set targets on fire, extinguish fires, and fire healing orbs. Towers are used to rush an enemy castle, allowing forces to deploy on top of the enemy walls. Owning a castle allows you to have guild perks, special gear, special vendors, and you can own the land around your castle, which allows you to tax player housing on your land. Players can build houses of all shapes and sizes that provide a place to store items, a place to craft items, a place to create a farm, and PK protection. There are 2 factions in the game. If you choose to, you can leave your faction and become a pirate, which makes you hostile to both factions. There are a ton of more features in ArcheAge, such as gliding, combat pets, pirate island, breeding livestock, PvE bosses, armor sets, honor points. If all these incredible features in ArcheAge are not enough to convince you to give this game a shot, then nothing will. ArcheAge seems to be the MMO that I've been waiting for. If you are as excited for this MMO as I am, feel free to apply to our guild, hop in our TeamSpeak server, and chat it up. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks a ton, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.